Hello and welcome to the Asylum. I'm your host, Commander Asylum of the Initiative. Today I'm going to be covering Lesson 1 of my new Capsuleer orientation. This is just understanding how space is laid out around you in EVE Online. So at the highest level we have 5 layers of space, from the widest to the more narrow. Widest being encompassing the most space, to the most narrow scope, which is the immediate space around you, called the grid. So these are the 5 layers of space in EVE Online. The biggest is the universe. The universe is all regions. That includes both what we call K space, which is K for known space, which are all the systems that are connected to each other through stargates. Additionally, there is a completely parallel universe that is not on any maps. It is called Anoikis. Anoikis is accessed through wormholes, and they're constantly shifting, so there really is no map to show you because the map would change, minute by minute. Some people call that J space because all the systems are named after the letter J, so J51106 would be an example. It could also be called Anoikis is the actual technical name for it. Some people will just call it wormhole space because all those systems are connected by wormholes. Okay, as we zoom in from the universe level, we have regions. Regions are collections of constellations that all have something in common. Usually you have high-sec regions, null-sec regions, low-sec regions. So typically they all share the same security status with each other. Now, there's some where you have high-sec and low-sec mixed together. Sometimes you have high-sec and null-sec mixed together. But in general, the systems are very similar. The background of space in these regions is typically all the same. So if you're in Cloud Ring, when you look at the background, you're going to see the Cloud Ring in that region of space. Now, as I zoom in from the regions and I go to constellations, constellations are just pockets of stars that are really close together. And when I show you the star map in the game, this will make a lot more sense, constellations. And really, these are only going to affect you when you're dealing with capital ships using jump drives, and where you can and cannot jump to. And the gate, they have different gates when you go from one constellation to another. There's bigger gates there, so that can matter if you're going to gate camp somebody. Okay, as I zoom in from the constellation level, this is going to be where you're going to spend most of your time discussing and going around through. This would be systems. Systems really is solar system. The solar system is all the planets, moons, and everything around the star system that you are in. And anything in a system I can actually warp to. So if I'm on a Stargate in a system, I can then warp to a planet or a moon, to a star. I can dock up in stations in this system. And as I zoom in even more from this system, I have the pocket of space immediately around my ship. That is called the grid. The grid has all the stuff I can actually interact with. For instance, if there is a station that is not on my grid, but it is in my solar system, I cannot approach it, I cannot dock into the station, I cannot do anything to it. I can warp to it though. When I warp to that station, then that puts my ship on the same grid as that station, and then I can then approach it and dock with it. And this will make more sense when I actually go into the game. So again, it's a universe, and as we zoom in, we go from the universe to regions, to constellations, to star systems, to the local grid. So what does this look like on DOTLAN? DOTLAN is one of the most useful maps in the game. You can find it on dotlan.net. So if I click on the universe, this is going to show me the whole universe. And every one of these little bubbles here is a region in space. And like I said, they all have things in common. So the first thing you notice is you got this donut, this circle around it. And these are all black on the inside. These are null-sec. Nullsec has no police or no security. There's really no laws or anything out here in nullsec. That's why it's called nullsec, as in there's no security. Now we have empire space in here. And empire space are these ones that are color-coded bubbles. I have Galente, space right here in the green. I have Caldari space here in blue. I have Minotaur space in red, and yellow is a Mars space. Now this is Empire space. This will be a mix of low security systems and high security systems. So if I zoom in further, let's zoom into Placid. Alright, this is Galente space, Placid. So again, we have the entire universe, and here I have a region, Placid. Let's zoom in here to Placid. Okay, within Placid, I can see all the solar systems that are in this region. I can also see constellations, but the constellations are not as obvious on this map, and it's because they're really not as important as the structure of the solar systems in this region. But one thing I can notice is I have a mix of high security and low security in here. I have some high security places like Stackmon here, which is actually, I believe that is the home of Eve University right here in Stackmon, so that's pretty awesome. But I have Stackmon, and this is circled in green. This is a high security system, meaning if somebody attacks you illegally, keyword being illegally, the police will respond and blow their ship up. It might not necessarily protect you. They can blow you up before the police respond. But one thing's for sure, they're going to get blown up eventually. But I also have some other things like Ostingel in here, and Agos, and less. All these other systems, these are low security. The police do not respond in these systems. So pretty much anybody you see in these low security systems, and then later further down the sign, if I go to Syndicate here, I got all these null security places. There's no police response. Anybody you see in here that is not in the same corporation as you wants to kill you. That's a very good assumption to have. Okay, so now if you want to drill down even further, you can, but I don't. As a new capsuleer, I don't recommend it, because if you click on it, it gives you a lot of information here, but it's not as obviously useful to a new player. Later on when you're trying to plan jump freighter routes and stuff, this will become useful. Or if you want to deal with sovereignty, you want to establish sovereignty in a new system or something, this stuff becomes useful. And it has a lot of use for intelligence gathering and whatnot. But as a new player, you don't need to really deal with this. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to the game client. I'm going to go ahead and undock. I'm in a station right now. And let's see what all this looks like in the game client. So to open the map, I go to my left side over here. I click on the map, which is this icon over here. And I'm going to zoom out so we can see everything. Okay, here we go. You can see the entire universe map. Now you will notice that this looks quite similar to the universe map. The universe map is actually laid out in the same fashion as this map right here. So the things that are on the left, so Fountain is over here on the west, and you see over here, Fountain is over here on the west. So generally this DOTLAN map lines up pretty well with this map right here. You can see the different colors on this map. These are the different regions. So I have the Citadel right here is a region, and you can see the names here. All these names I'm seeing are these regions, and as I hover over it, it highlights all the star systems in that region. So I'm over here in this region. So I'm going to click on focus on current location, and it's going to zoom in on where I'm at. So it just zoomed in on my local pocket of space. Now, constellations are this local pocket of stars I have right here. So again, it zoomed in onto my region, which is Hymatar. It zoomed in even more into my local constellation. Now, the paths, the links between constellations are marked by these dotted lines here. So you can see I have a little pockets of stars over here, and they're grouped close together. Those are because they're all in the same constellations. So over here in the same constellation as me, I have Malukar, Amanaka, and Home. Okay, so I can zoom in even further. So this is again my constellation. What I'm seeing now, instead of seeing when I zoomed out, I saw the region names, and now I can start seeing the system names here. Right, there's a way to see constellation names, but I don't see that right now. But as I zoom in to my system, I can start to see all the celestial objects that are in this solar system with me. I can see stargates. There's a stargate over here. I can see other things. So if I hover over this, it expands this out. So I can see, hey, near this stargate for Imanaka, there's also a planet and a moon over there. Over here I have asteroid belts. I also have a planet and 2 moons. These are all my celestial objects right here. Now you'll see squares. Squares are dockable NPC stations. This is the Republic University right here. This is a star station owned by NPCs, so it's not owned by any players, and I can dock with any of these things as long as I do not have a criminal timer or a weapons timer. I can go ahead and dock up in this station right here. Okay, so again, we did that zoom in, right? If you notice, we didn't go to the grid yet. We'll talk about the grid. So I started looking at my regions. I can see my constellations here with little groupings of stars, and then we can zoom in even further, and I start to see my star systems. And then I zoom in, I can see inside my star system, and I can see my celestial objects. But I can't see what's on grid from this map. Okay, so what you see right here, and by default, this tactical overlay is shut off. So this is the default lineup here. So I'm in the starter ship. This is the default lineup right here. So one thing I like to have on, and most players are going to have on, is a tactical overlay. To turn that on, you go down here in the middle, and you got this circle with it. This is tactical overlay. You click on that, and it gives you these range rings here. Okay, so now everything you see here is on local grid with me. As you can see, I have a station here, so not only can I see the actual station, but I can see the square that we saw on that one map. See, the square, that's a dockable NPC station. So this station is not owned by anybody. This is an NPC station, so there's nothing that nobody can do to prevent me from docking here. It is a safe place. The only time you will ever be safe in EVE Online is when you're docked up inside one of these NPC stations. Nothing can kill you when you're in there. Okay, now I can see things that are on this local grid with me. These are things that are near me. So I have NPC ships. I have a player ship here. There's a person in that ship right there. More NPC ships. I have turrets out here. So how do I know these are NPC ships? And how did I know that the other person was another player? Well, I know because, see, this guy just showed up right here. Right? Now, if I go to the right here, to this overview, I can see that person right here. And he shows up in my overview. See that? That's that ship. He's a rifter. He's in a triangle. His name is Cashier. And there he is right here in my overview. I'm on the General tab. I can also click on Targets tab. I can still see him, right? And this overview on the default lineup is not going to show me ships that are not other players. So these blue ships here, I got a blue Concord Police Captain Cruiser, I got a Concord Police Commander Battleship. They do not show up in this overview here. Only other players do. So I have a Venture here, I have a Tilewire here. Those are other ships piloted by players that are here with me. You can see them in space next to me as well. I can see their ships, I can see where they're going. Now that I have my tactical overlay on, I can see how far away from me that they are. Okay, so that is the local grid, and that is going to conclude this video. So hopefully this kind of gives you an understanding of how space is laid out in EVE Online, what space you can interact with, and what space you can fly around between. This is my local grid, and everything I see here, either on my map, so on the overview, so I'm going to set to general, on my overview and on my map, is the local solar system, and these are the things that I can all warp to if I want to, and we'll cover that in a later video. And as I zoom out, I have my constellation, then my region, and then the universe. Well, I hope this was informative. I look forward to talking to you in the next video, and until then, fly dangerous.